Welcome back to Fireside Chats. Today's episode is different. For nearly 2 decades, our guest has operated in environments defined by chaos and critical decision making. Structure fires in zero visibility, midnight dispatches into active emergencies, severe weather events that reshape entire communities in minutes. Incidents where outcomes are measured in seconds and sometimes in lives lost. He began his career as a volunteer firefighter at 18 and rose through the ranks to become chief, responsible for leading personnel into situations most people will never encounter firsthand. This is a profession built on urgency, risk, and consequence, where every call carries weight and some calls leave permanent marks. But beyond the helmet, the radio traffic, and the rank, he's a husband, a father, a son, and most importantly, my big brother. I've had a front row seat to the weight of his life long before any of us would understand what it truly demanded. Today, the perspective shifts. The host becomes the guest, and questions move beyond the meetings, beyond the incident reports, and into the reality of what this work demands from the people who do it. This is the fire service from the inside. This is Fireside Chats, and this is your host, Caleb Phelps. Caleb, welcome back to your own show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, it's kind of weird being on this side of the table, but I'm kind of glad you're usually behind the scenes doing all the computer work and editing, promoting all that stuff. So I'm kind of glad you got a little front row of it,
Yeah, it's weird for me too.
No, but my name's Caleb Phelps. I started the fire service when I turned 18 in 2011 as a volunteer for Beachmont Fire Department. So under Chief, the legend Tommy Dickerson. There'll never be another one. No matter what I do, I will never touch. I'm not able to shake the dust off his boots, So, but I'm proud to say not many people are going to be able to say that they got to work directly under him.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to say that. Like that's who started me. So.
When you walked into the firehouse at 18 for the first time, did you have any idea that this would become your entire life?
No, I didn't. I thought I was just a kid at 18. I didn't realize the weight and the impact this job would have. I didn't realize how much this job would change me. So, no, I didn't realize how big of a part of my life. I didn't realize it'd become a career. I thought it was a hobby, you know?
Yeah. When was the first time you felt like you belonged to the fire department?
The first time I felt like I belonged, well, it definitely wasn't from day one. I'll tell you a funny thing real quick. The first call I ever made, we get paged, I still remember it like it was yesterday, we get paged out to it was a 2-year-old having a seizure. And I didn't even have my key to the fire department yet to let yourself in if you get a call. So I fly up there. It was I don't even know. I was working 4 hours a day at the IGA frying chicken. So I was off while everybody else was working.
Yep.
I fly up there. I'm just standing at the door waiting, praying to God somebody else shows up to make the call with me. And next thing I know, this green Ford pulls in, and it's Tommy Dickerson, the freaking chief. I'm like, oh my God. And he gets out, and he's getting his keys and everything on, and he's saying hers up, and he's like, you ain't went in yet? I was like, no sir, I don't have a key. He's like, hell, let me get mine. So he gets his key out and he goes in. We get in the squad, and he's like, you got any experience? No sir. I said, this is my first call. He said, hell, stay behind me. And that was my first call, man.
Yeah. You talk often about Eric McElwain and Tommy Dickerson, Eugene Miller, all those people. Was there a firefighter that stands out specifically whose approval meant something to you?
Yeah. Definitely the first one to ever. There's a couple. I have two really big ones. One was Eric, of course, because he was a firefighting son of a gun when I started. He was the guy that everybody knew Eric McElwain was going inside this fire. And it was just unwritten rule, that if we get paged out to a structure fire, Eric's the quarterback. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I got to be that guy. But then on the other hand, Andy Day was such a like just a light. He loved coming in and training. He loved when people were hungry, because he would take time and do it. And Eric did too, but Eric did it more on scene. Like, pull up your boots, boys. We're about to sort some stuff out. But Andy was always really cool with, like, training and drilling and stuff like that. Those two guys. And Eugene Miller, of course. Sorry. He is the best at fire prevention I've ever seen. Like, he just has a passion for children. Like, I mean, he's amazing. And he's another one, like, I was like, man, I got to be like that guy. And he was always super nice, always took care of us, always checked on us. So those three guys, and of course Tommy Dickerson, were like my first inspirations in the fire service.
Yeah, Gene was actually my softball coach
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was like 9 years old.
Yeah, he was everybody's.
Yeah, I can remember.
He probably still does it,
Yeah.
honestly. I don't even know if he does, but probably.
Yep, I can remember him coming to the elementary school when I was in elementary school.
Me
and doing
too.
Fire prevention. He was actually the person that taught us that you can call 911 without a SIMS card in a phone.
Yeah,
I thought that was the coolest thing forever.
Yeah, he's the one. When I started, same thing, like, but we went to Hugheskirk, so we would actually, the field trip to the fire department, we would walk all, like,
Yes, I
like the
remember
back
doing
roads
that.
up through Beachmont to go to the fire department, and then all those guys were there. And it's so funny now that, like, I know these guys personally, because it's going to make them sound really old, but, like, they were the guys at the fire department when I was in school going to the fire department, like Gene Miller, Keith Clack, Eric McIlvain, all those guys were there,
Yeah.
like, showing my little butt, like, how many gallons of water this tanker holds, how to put on an air pack, that kind of stuff. So that was really cool, like, actually getting to meet those guys when I got into it.
Yeah. And it's funny looking back now because in our family, I don't think anybody expected you to not just join the fire service, but to go as far as you have. But looking back over your life, is there a moment that you remember, like, you knew you wanted to be a firefighter, or was it just something that you kind of stumbled upon? And
I think, like, every little boy always has, like, the hero complex, like, you love all the superheroes. Like, any little boy in the world wants that Spider-Man mask.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the thing, I always wanted to be a hero. You know what I'm saying? Like Spider-Man or Superman. Now, I didn't think it'd be a firefighter per se, hero firefighter. I'm not that, but, that's what you get portrayed as when you do this career. And so I think there's always been that little thing. But no, I never thought, like, I want to be a firefighter when I grow up.
Yeah.
I've always been kind of the kid that was the jokester, mess around. I thought I would be at the street department and retire from there, picking up limbs and cutting grass, you know?
Yeah. We talk a lot about humor, language, bonds that are completely different than other bonds, like with the fire department, brotherhood. What's something about life at the station that maybe civilians wouldn't understand?
Well, life at the station is a different world. It's kind of, the best way to describe it is like a football locker room or like a college fraternity dorm or something like that. But there's also a serious side to it. You'll never meet, like, very few people can say, I have friends that will die for me, and know that they will.
Yeah.
But with that being said, a lot of people can't say, I have friends that I'm taking a shower and they'll run in there and jump in naked with me. A lot of people can't say that, but you become so close when you live with people and you're in situations that not only break you physically, but mentally too, And, like, I've seen these tough men cry, because something that somebody else is going through, and when you get on that raw of a level with somebody, like, it's a bond that you can't describe until you've been there. So, and it's also, firehouse is dark, you know what I'm saying? Like, we respond to awful stuff sometimes, but and then we'll get back to the firehouse and crack a joke over something awful, and then everybody is like still in shock about what we just witnessed. But then somebody will crack a joke, and for you know what, everybody's dying laughing and joking with each other, and that's also a decompression thing. And people wouldn't understand that. You know, if most people witness like just a brutality of nature, or just the way the world is, man, just it's terrible some days. Most people wouldn't think it's time to crack a joke.
Yeah.
You know, but when you live with these people and you love these guys and they become part of your family, you get on a level of companionship that most people won't never understand. So I know civilians would not understand the firehouse.
Yeah, it's like the best kind of trauma bond.
Yes, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. And you said earlier, most people can't say I have a friend that would die for me. And there have been instances. The flashover, I know specifically, John went back in because he thought that he heard you in there.
Yeah.
So just tell us a little bit about what that was like, just being in a flashover and what happened.
like, do you want the whole story or just like what that was like? Or
just run us through the story.
So, me and John were sitting at the station, you know, nothing normal day, nothing really happening. And we get paged out to a structure fire, you know, and of course, me and John, we love fighting fire, you know, like we love everything about it. So, and John's one of the best firefighters I've ever seen. You know, he eats that stuff. So, we get paged out on to 3rd Street for a structure fire, right? People can see the smoke. It's confirmed. Well, we get to the address and we don't see nothing. It's just a house where nobody's home. So we're like, man, they said this thing's on fire, dude. So me and John's walking around, trying to peek in windows, beating on doors, fire department. Can't see nothing. We're like, well, maybe like somebody seen it and whatever. So we're fixing to pry the door open. So me and John's talking. We're like, well, let's just go through the door and see what's in here. You know, trying to get in contact with the homeowner. Can't get anybody. But so as we turn around to go back to the truck to get our tool to force entry into the house, we see this giant black cloud of smoke right behind us. And me and John's like, oh, shit, man, it's on 4th Street. Yeah. So we run and jump in the truck, fly to 4th Street. We get there, and there she is, buddy. She's breathing. Smoke, heavy smoke rolling out. But it was weird because, like, the lady that lived there was still running in and out of the house, like, packing things out. It was close to, I can't remember. No, I know it was after Christmas. It was March, I believe. Yeah, it was March. But the Christmas tree was still on the porch, and I can still remember it. And John's like trying to get this lady to get out of this house. That's like, I'm talking smoke's rolling. Like, this house is for sure on fire. And she's arguing with him, and he's arguing with her, and they're screaming back and forth. And finally, he's like, get off this porch right now, or I'm going to have law enforcement get you out of here. And she's like, just whatever. So me and John get to the door. And Kevin had just got us this brand new turnout gear. First fire I'd ever seen. Me and him was so excited to see how it does, see how it handles heat, really cook it good, you know. Yeah. Get our gear dirty. We'd be the first ones. You know what I'm saying? It's brand new. So we get there, we get to the front door, we're getting our stuff on, we're fixing to go through the door, and the smoke level's still pretty high because the way it works is like something catches on fire, smoke rises. Well, when it like fills the room up top, it'll start banking down and dropping down to the floor. Smoke level's still really high, so we're like, heck, we're gonna get in here and whoop a piss out of this thing and be out of here in no time. You know, save this whole house. So we get ready, we're going through, and by this time we're crouched down kind of, but we're not like really. It hadn't pushed us to the floor yet. So we move back to this living room. And at the back of the living room, if you take a right on the back wall, you go into a hallway. You take a left. Down that hallway on another left, there was the kitchen, and we believe that's where the fire was. So me and John go in. We're spraying some water, trying to keep it cool. And at this point, I can't see anything. And usually, fire's dark anyway when you're inside. All the smoke, you can't really see much anyways. But I didn't realize my mask was cooking. Like, it was getting like really heavily damaged, so I couldn't see out of it. So I'm like, I have a light on my chest, you know, my flashlight, and I keep like pointing it up at my mask to see if I could see it. And I didn't think it was working because I couldn't see it. I didn't realize my mask was cooked. And so we're pushing on through. We make it to the hall, all the way through the living room, make it to the hallway. We take that left, And then I had my helmet camera on this entire time, so I got all this on video. And I didn't realize that it was starting to light off. You know, like when a flashover occurs, you'll start seeing fire come through the smoke because the smoke's reaching that ignition temperature. So all I noticed is that the heat was rapidly increasing. You know, and like I've been in some hot fires, but this was unlike any heat I'd ever felt. And I felt like I was burning inside my gear, you know. Yeah. And I tell John, I'm like, hey, dude, it's getting hot. We're going to have to get out. And I didn't, but if you watch the video right when I say that, you can see the flames come right across us.
Oh, wow.
Like you can see like it's all black dark, like just a black screen, and then it lights up blue because the smoke's cooking off around us. And that's why the temperature increased so much, because we were on fire.
Yeah.
And I knew we was in trouble when I said we got to go out. It's getting hot in here. When John said, "Okay, let's push out," because John don't say let's push out. Yeah. He'll be like, "Quit being a bitch, boy," you know. Yeah. But John said, "Okay, let's go." So I was like, "Let's follow your hose." So at this point, it's still blackout. Our masks are cooked. I didn't know that at the time. So following our hose out. I didn't even know I was outside yet. I fall off the front porch because we was just following the hose of the truck. And when I fall off the front porch, I thought John was like right behind me, but he didn't fall on me, you know. So I like jump up, still can't see nothing. I mean, I can see a little light through my mask, you know, but I can't see what I'm seeing. And I turn around, I'm like, John's not there. So I'm like, John! And then I hear him holler from, like, he's still deep inside this house. He's like, "Hey, love."
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, God, he's in there still, you know. And I was burning. I know he's on fire. Mm-hmm. So I go right back to the door. I'm going back for him, you know. And I make it through the living room. I'm like I'm probably halfway through the living room, almost to that hallway that I was telling you about. And he sprays me in the face. Like water hits me. Mm-hmm. And I fall down. And by the time I get back up, he's to me. So I grab him, he grabs me, we go out. And when we come out, I didn't know this, but somebody's like, "Oh, God, John's on fire." But I still couldn't see anything. My mask was messed up. So I'm like, "John, don't move. I'm going to spray you." And he's like, no. Because if I would have sprayed him at that temperature, it would have steam burned the piss out of him. You know, he'd have been burnt way worse than he was. And he was burnt pretty good. His gear was burnt. His mask was messed up. Mine was messed up. But John's earlobes looked like they were about to fall off. They were cooked, burnt. Oh, my gosh. His face was burnt around his mask. And we were wearing all our PPE. Like, it just burnt through his Nomex hood. Mm-hmm. And after we got then we see Kevin Tucker coming across the yard. And I'm like, oh, God, no. Because we had just burnt up a $10,000 set of turnout gear, the first fire I'd seen. So I'm like, oh, God, he's going to be hot. And I got to give it, Kevin is a fire-eating son of a gun, dude. He will run up there. He's like, "Y'all boys all right? All right?" We're like, "Yeah, we're good." He's like, "Hell yeah, boys." You know, but he wasn't mad at all. But, I mean, Kevin's been through it, too. You know, he's been blew out of a window, messed his shoulder up. Oh, yeah, like he's a firefighting son of a gun, buddy.
Yeah.
So that was the 4th Street fire. I mean, we almost got our goose cooked, but I wouldn't have wanted to be in there with anybody else.
Yeah. So when you were in the middle of it, did you realize that it was a flashover? Or was it?
No, I didn't, because I'd never experienced one besides in training. You know, and in training, the way the flashover chamber works, it's like a big Connex box, but you sit below the fire. And so you're like kind of looking up at it, and you can see it like rolling, and they're teaching you what to look for in a flashover. Like you can see, like I was talking about the smoke lighting off, what was happening that I couldn't see. Like, you can see that happening in the flashover chamber, and then when all the smoke lights off, it blows the back doors open because it releases all the pressure. Well, I couldn't see any of this. Mm-hmm. So, no, I had no idea. I just knew it went from a really hot fire to I'm on fire.
Yeah,
you know?
You are the fire.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, at what point did you realize, like, holy crap, that was a intense, like that was a flashover. That's something that most people don't make it out of.
Well, the craziest part is you always hear, if you ever get caught in a flashover, you will not survive.
Yeah.
You know, and like there's no way to survive a flashover. And I do believe that's true. unless you make it out in like 2 seconds, which luckily we did. I think we got out right as the flashover has just began. So I think we made it out just in time. If we were in there any longer, our masks would have failed because we had to take the mask out of service. They were just cooked. It's hanging on my wall. They let me bring it home. But yeah, like if you get caught in that, you don't survive. If you're in there if you're not right on your way out, then yeah, it's gonna cook you. But no, we didn't realize it was a flashover until probably a week later. Like we were sitting there laying in bed that night, because our beds were right next to each other, and we were just like, man, I cannot believe I love you, bro.
Yeah.
I love you, bro. Like we did that.
Yeah.
And we kept talking like, no, it's not a flashover. You can't survive a flashover. You can't. But the more we watched the footage, the more we watched the smoke layer drop, the more we watched the smoke cooking off. We're like, man, it couldn't have been nothing else.
Yeah.
So it was like a week later. We're like, yeah, man, that was a flashover.
That's crazy.
So yeah, it was like a week because we talked ourselves out of it a lot longer, than we actually believed it was.
Yeah. So, would you say that that's the scariest fire that you've ever experienced?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's a cool story. Like it's cool. It's cool. Most people don't ever be able to tell that.
Yeah.
And I tell the story, and people are like, "Man, that's cool. That's cool." I don't wish that on nobody. Because all firefighting operations stopped. It was pure survival. We were just trying to make it out.
Yeah.
So I don't wish that on anybody. Like it was so hot. I mean, you feel like you're burning. It was bad.
Yeah. Is there another fire that sticks out to you, not from, or I guess not because your safety was in danger, but just because of the things that you saw or maybe somebody else had went through?
Like the flashover fire, or is there another fire that was like close to it?
Yeah, just like another fire in general that sticks with you.
No, nothing even comes close to that one. Like I've been in quite a few fires, and that I've never felt heat that intense. No, don't get me wrong. Every fire's hot, even if there's like you show up and there's no fire. But all the heat is there, like the fire burned itself out or something like that. Like all that smoke and gas is like superheated, so it's still really hot no matter what.
Yeah.
But I've never felt heat that I thought, oh gosh, like I'm burning, So no, I haven't never had one that close. I've had other really hot fires. Me and John's been in a bunch together. That's I gotta say that's my best friend, like firefighting partner, man, and that's the worst I've ever felt.
Yeah. Gosh, that's crazy. So aside from fire in general, actually, at the point of you felt like you were burning, is that when you realized like this is bad? Like something is not like every other fire we've ever fought?
Yeah, because every fire is dark, and like when we went in it, like the lady was still coming in and out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we never suspected like this. Most time you pull up to a fire, expect like Philip Groves, I'll give him a shout out, is the best one I've ever seen at it. That guy can read a fire better than I can read a book. He can look at, he always says, fire tells you what's happened, smoke tells you what's going to happen. Like he can look and tell you the way a fire is going to move, the way a fire is going to react by what smoke this house is giving off. And I'm not that good at reading it. Philip's way better.
Yeah.
And so, but I know the basics of it, right?
Yeah.
And looking at this house, I didn't suspect anything. Now, I've talked to Philip since that, and he's watched the video. He's like, how'd you not know?
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Yeah, like, how'd you not know? I'm like, Philip, because I ain't like you, dude.
Yeah.
So. But no, I never expected that. And I didn't even realize anything was wrong. It was just normally hot,
Yeah.
As we're trying to push to the seat of the fire. And then all of a sudden it just intensified like I'd never felt before.
Yeah. How long did it take you to realize that your mask was done? Like, did you not realize till you were back at the station? Or
No, I didn't realize till we came out.
Oh,
like, and I actually took the mask off and seen it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And like, because when I come out, like, I could see light, but my mask is so cooked and like just black and charred that I couldn't make anything out of it. It's like if you was looking through, if you burn a plastic bottle and like look through it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what it was like. So, but I thought it was just like soot and stuff on it while I was wearing it once I came out. But once we took it off and looked at them, we were like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
You know?
That was bad.
Yeah.
Gosh. So going back to just the first serious run that you saw, because I mean, a flashover is serious, but that's just, I mean, one of the things that you've seen. What's one of the first runs that really stick out to you, that really sticks with you?
One of the first ones was it was in I hope this doesn't cause any problems, but there's a place going toward Dunmore on 431 we all call Catwoman Curves, right? Because there's this lady that used to live there, and everybody called her Catwoman. I mean, that was her name. People called her that at the dollar store. You know, like I don't know if anybody even knows her name. Her name was Catwoman because she had 1,000 cats.
Yeah,
and she lived in these curves, and we get paged out there for a car wreck. You know, we get there and this lady was carrying the mail, and the roads were wet, and she spun out in these curves. Well, this pedestrian, good citizen, just stopped to help her. So he pulled off to the side of the road, got out, went to walk across this blind curve, and a coal truck come around and hit him. And he was down in the ditch, and he was mangled bad. And I'm talking his brains coming out of his mouth, his head. I mean, skull laid open, and he looked like if you was to take your sock off and just lay it on the ground and push it down, that's what his body looked like in his clothes. You know, they were just just flat. And that was the first time I was like, oh man, like this is the job.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the ball busting at the station and having a good time. Like this is why you get those ball busting moments at the station. You know, like when they were like, ooh, firefighters get paid to sleep. Yeah, technically we do get paid to sleep, but like it's worth the trade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you need to sleep, or at least try to.
Yeah.
You know, people don't know what it's like to try to lay down and go to sleep after you've seen that, or told a mama, I can't save your baby.
Yeah.
You know, be lucky you don't get paid to sleep, because half the time we don't.
Yeah.
You know, or see a little girl hanging, you know, where she killed herself. So, but that was the first time I realized this is the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was probably also one of the first, like, really gnarly things I ever witnessed.
I actually remember that happening, and I remember, like, after it happened, and you, talking about sleeping, would try to go to sleep, and then you would always jump awake. And I can remember, because I think we shared a bedroom at that time. That was after Memaw had moved in and all the stuff. But I remember asking, like, are you okay? And you said every time I start to fall asleep, I see him crawling out of the ditch asking me for help. I can remember you saying that, and just, holy crap. Like, I think maybe that was the first time for me I realized this is costing him something. And I remember, like, at around that same time was when Daniel had enlisted into the National Guard, and I think you had talked about looking into it or whatever, and just realizing, like, this is just as serious as that. Like, he's seeing maybe even worse than but
that was that one bothered me for a while, because I think it was the first one that actually, like, gets seared into your mind. But I had that dream for a long time. Like, I'd go to sleep, and I'd be right back there on that scene, and I'd walk across the road and look down in the ditch, and there he was. You know, and he would, like, open his eyes and look at me and start crawling up this ditch, and it's like, you know, and I had that dream for a while, but I don't have that anymore, you know.
And I think the way it happened is it's just as sad as the fact that it happened in general. Like, he was just a man helping, you know. That's
the hardest part of the job. It's not the dead bodies, it's not the gore, it's not the gruesomeness, it's family members watching the life leave out of somebody when you tell them their family member's not going to make it. Like, there's nothing we can do. They call 911 hoping a wife wakes up in the morning and finds her husband dead in the bed. Well, what does she do? She has hope. 911, please come help us. We have hope, but we get there and we can tell he's been there all night. You know, and I have a better chance of bringing the nightstand back. You know, and I hate to say that like that, but it's the truth. You know, and when you tell somebody that, like, they'll be cold, the blood will already be pulled, rigor is set in, and you tell somebody, man, there's nothing I can do, and just watching everything leave that lady, that's the worst part of the job. Hearing the mom scream, you know, hearing the dad beat the windows out of a car because his son's dead. You know, those are the that's the hardest part of the job.
Yeah. And does it ever bring you back to just like how fragile life is, knowing that like he did, like the rock truck guy, like he did not wake up that morning and think, I'm gonna die today. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And so a lot of times I feel like I'm too hard on people, like people I love, like
Yeah.
my wife, my daughter, mom and dad. You know, I'm like, quit being stupid. Like you'll die.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mhm.
and I have this feeling a lot of times that I'm not going to get enough done. I'm going to die soon.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Mhm.
feel like that's part of the job too. Like that just wears on you, seeing like, because death is not a respecter of person. You know, like
Right.
I've seen them dead from 1 second old to, 100 years old, and it just there's no rhyme or reason to it. So yeah, that's a big part.
Yeah. Um, just something else that you've seen that comes to mind is the guy with the dumpster. The guy with the dumpster.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's another one of those like just freak accidents that's just like there's no rhyme or reason for it. Like I'm sure the guy had done it 100 times, and this time it just got him.
Yeah.
Like he was reaching underneath the dumpster on a hydraulic lift that was recycling, coming back down. Something had fell under it, so he reached under there to get it, and he didn't make it out in time. It flattened him like a pancake, crushed him,
Yeah.
and we had to get the dumpster off of him, and there he was, just crushed. And then we had to unfold him
Mhm.
and get him bagged up, and God bless the coroners, man. They're usually the ones that make those phone calls. You know, this guy was from way off from here. Like he was working driving a semi,
Mhm.
and the coroner had to make the phone call to his wife. I was standing right there, and he's like, "Hello, is this whatever her name was?" And yes, ma'am. I'm yada 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 with the Muhlenberg County Coroner's Office. I have some very bad news.
Yeah.
And you can just hear that woman start screaming,
Yeah.
like, "What? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And then he proceeds to tell her that her husband's dead. He's died in a tragic accident. He was crushed.
Oh
And
my goodness.
I know, and like we see that stuff, but that's somebody that doesn't get talked about a lot as coroners.
Yeah.
They're usually the ones that make those phone calls, and I'm glad we're not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard job.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's a job you have to like run for, isn't it? Like,
Oh, yeah,
people
yeah.
actually sign up to
yeah,
do that.
people.
That's,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get enough votes to get that job.
Yeah. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So how do you cope with that? Just in everyday life, knowing how fragile life is and knowing that truly you don't know when you're gonna when something's gonna happen.
I don't think you ever do.
Mhm.
I think you just kind of live with it. Like you can. Some people go to therapy. Some people do whatever.
Yeah.
Like everybody does something to take the pain away.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I mean, everybody's got their vice. Some people's vice is religion. Some people's vice is beer, which I don't recommend that one. But I mean, everybody's got a vice.
Yeah.
So we just did a mental wellness class yesterday, matter of fact, and that was one of the things he went on. Like, you have to have something to charge your battery. Like, for me personally, it's going to the gym.
Mhm.
Like, I wake up at 4 every morning and go work out, and I've noticed it's become more of like, I started because I wanted to get buff. I wanted to look good. That's what it started as, and now I notice it's my therapy. This podcast is my therapy.
Yeah.
Talking to people, realizing that you're not alone,
Mhm.
that everybody deals with this stuff. So that's a big thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like that you've actually processed everything that you've seen, or is it just something that you kind of learn to function with?
I'm not really sure what processing means.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, I believe I deal with it, if that means processing.
Yeah.
I guess. But I'm not exactly 100% sure what processing means, but I do deal with it, and once you've done it for a while, you kind of become a little bit numb. Not saying not everything gets to you. There's some stuff that still bothers you, and there's still stuff you think about that did bother you in the past.
Mhm.
But it's not like I sit and ponder and fret and worry about the terrible stuff that you've seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess I've probably processed it through different means. Maybe not going to therapy like some people choose to do, which is perfect if that's what helps you. But maybe just working out or doing whatever I got to do.
Yeah. Something else I wanted to touch on is the tornado that happened in Bremen. You worked that. Was that? How long had you been on Central City when that happened?
When did that happen? What year was that?
I think it was either 2021 or 2022.
I had to just start because I started in 21. Or
Okay.
no, I started in 20. So maybe a year. Maybe
Okay.
a year or so I'd been on there.
Yeah. So walk me through that entire day. Because we get tornado watches and stuff all the
Yeah.
time in this area. Did you actually think that there was going to be a tornado as serious as it was?
Oh, absolutely not. Hello. So it all started like a normal day. Nothing major, We're always, of course, they've been talking about, you watch the weather tonight, it might get bad, yada, 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 like they do every time there's a thunderstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not thinking much about it. We prepare like we do for everything. Fill the trucks up, fill everything up, get the chainsaws ready, make sure all the blades are sharp, let them run, make sure everything's working right. And then it's kind of just chill time. We'll just wait till something happens or it doesn't, whatever. And storm kind of starts, and it's a rough thunderstorm, it knocks power out. We get paged out to whatever you call it, nursing home there in town for a fire alarm. Get there, power knocked out, the fire alarm was just malfunctioning. We reset it, and we go to check 98, and we can't get on the radio. And I'm like, what is wrong with this piece of junk? Well, then my phone rings, and it's dispatch. I'm like, yeah. They're like, hey, radios are down, we can't hear you. They say Miller's Inc.'s on fire. You need to get up there. We're like, oh, Jesus. So we jump in the truck, run up to Miller's Inc. It wasn't on fire. Lightning had struck it, and that was it. People thought it was on fire because lightning struck it. Whatever. Well, while we're there, Kevin Tucker calls me, and he's like, hey, man, you got to get down to Metz. A tornado just hit Metz. I'm like, oh, crap. So we fly down to Metz, and the roof is caved in on it. There were signs down everywhere. It was a mess. So we get done with that. They say another one's coming through. I think at this time it was tearing Mayfield apart. So, but we got a lot of lines down, so Kevin makes us stay there on the street to keep cars from running over these lines. So we're sitting there. It starts raining and stuff. We're looking for somewhere to go if it does get bad. Not really anywhere to go. So we see this house. I'm like, if it gets bad, I'm just going to go through that door and tell them, hey, we're a fire department. Get down,
Yeah.
And anyway, about that time, it starts getting really windy. Rain's picking up. It's really storming. And then you hear Bremen Fire Department's tones go off. And somebody on dispatch, before that happens, somebody on dispatch, they said something like, attention, Muhlenberg County, there's a deadly and catastrophic or, I don't know, tornado on the ground. Everybody take shelter now. And at this point, it's tearing Bremen in half. And then Bremen's tones go off, and there was somebody trapped in their house. So we're like, oh, man, maybe they did get some damage. And then their tones go off again, and it's somebody else trapped in the house, and then again, and there's a house on fire, and then again, and again, and again. And next thing you know, Bremen's on the radio, like, get me the county down here now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need everybody. Bremen's gone.
Yeah.
And it was. So next thing you know, all these fire trucks are flying by. The whole county's on the way to Bremen. And then cars start like really coming at us, and we just thought like somebody opened a gate or something, but it wasn't. It was cars leaving Bremen trying to get out of there because it was going to hell.
Yeah. And are you still in the middle of the road?
Yeah, we're still standing in the middle of the street. Yeah. And so we're trying, and it's raining still. It's storming like crazy, and we're trying to get the cars to stop. This car like flies up. I mean, it's missing a headlight. The windshield's busted out of it. It looks like it'd been in a war zone. Like people been shooting at it for 2 years, and it had came from Bremen. It got caught in the tornado. And this guy's like, we're like, hey, man, you can't go through here. And he's like, my wife needs help now. We got to get to the hospital. And we're like, well, we can help her, man. What's wrong? And like we get over there and we open the back door, and there's a lady laying there with her head crushed. And the best way to explain it is if you take a baby doll and squeeze its head and it like stays squeezed in, like that's what it looked like. And we're trying to like patch her up and everything and get an ambulance there. And she wound up passing away. But That's what it was like. And of course, we eventually went to Bremen and got in all that I've talked about. So I'm not going to get into all that. You know, it looked like a war zone. It was bad.
Yeah. Standing in the middle of the road in Central City, when you noticed like things were starting to pick up, like the winds were blowing, the rains were coming, was there ever a moment where you thought, this isn't worth it? Like, I don't want to do this?
No. No, like I don't want to do anything else. Like I love this.
Yeah.
I love everything about the fire service, even the bullcrap 3 a.m. bullcrap calls. Like those suck. I'm not gonna say I love those. Like those suck, but everything else I love about it makes up for those. But there is a lot of times that I'm like, please God, take care of my family. Like I can't be there.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a big thing.
Yeah, and I like talking about this because we encountered the night completely differently. I was in Central City in a basement. You were out in the middle of it, and I always love that you always say you were thinking about your family even though you were there. And for, I guess, listeners that don't know, we are siblings. And so I want to just talk about our family a little bit and just growing up. People are always shocked that we are friends and that we have a good relationship as siblings. I guess most adult siblings don't. I don't know. But what's a story from our childhood that you think would best explain our relationship?
Well, I got a couple. One is the cruise in where that guy was like talking smack to you, and that little short kid, I don't remember what his name was.
Yeah.
And you don't have to say it, but that little short kid you were flirting around with that wants to be your boyfriend or whatever, and your ex-boyfriend like bucked up on him and like tried to whoop him, and I don't know, he called you a bitch or something. I don't remember what it was, but you called me and I was like, I'll be there in just a minute. And then I get there and of course I don't want no problems, man. I don't want no problems. I'm sorry. I won't talk. I was like, well, you better leave her alone or I will beat your brains out of your ears.
Yeah.
That's definitely because I've always like felt like I protected you. And another one is like you puking on the school bus when you was a kid and like you're crying and then you puke and Boogie puts us off the bus and everything.
Yep.
Those are always good ones.
Yeah. And then I always think about in middle school, I hated riding the bus to middle school because they would drop you off at the high school and you would shuttle. And I remember you asking Donnie Kane, can we go to the middle school first so that I didn't have to ride by myself?
So you didn't have to ride by yourself. Yeah, he did that forever.
Yeah,
like he went to middle school first, dropped y'all off there, and then took us to high school.
Yeah. Shout out Donnie. He was the best bus driver.
Donnie was cool. I remember when Steven DeArmond got on with a cigarette behind his ear, and Donnie's like, Steven, is that a cigarette? And he's like, come on, Donnie, my bad. And he just took it and broke it, and he's like, hell, Donnie.
Yeah, he was fun. Do you ever think, or do you ever feel like you have to intentionally shield your thoughts or your feelings from your family to protect them?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, some days, most days. And it's not because like I'm just like in a tizzy, you know, like I'm just like freaking out all the time. It's not like that. It's just like Katie and Allie love to go and do and be places with a lot of people, and I don't like that anymore. You know, I like having some control. I don't like having to constantly look around and there's the exits. Watch that guy. He looks weird.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like. I would much rather just stay home.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest part of like not letting them know that even though they're having a good time and it's so fun for them that I'm like, you know, that's probably the biggest challenge. That's probably the hardest part. And then sometimes I'm just irritable or whatever. You know, you work a hard shift, you come home and it's time to be dad and husband, and you got your wife grouching because I don't know, something minute has happened, but it's a big deal to her. You know, she's been home dealing with it all day, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah.
You know, and I've done that, and I'm not proud to say it, you know, and then I spend the next 2 weeks apologizing for acting like an ass. And that's one of my biggest fears. I don't want Atlee to grow up and think dad was hard or mean or whatever. I try to shower her with love over the top.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want her to see that part. And that's a big thing you try to shield them from.
Yeah. Do you think that like you were saying earlier, when you're out in public and stuff, you're on high alert, and that guy looks sketchy. Do you think that comes from being a firefighter, or do you think that's just part of being a dad and a husband or a protector? Really,
I think it's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I think, of course, being the protector, the dad, making sure that they're cool, keeping your eyes on them. I think that's just part of being the protector.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the part of noticing where the exits are, where's the fire extinguisher at, what kind of building construction this is, why does this dude look sketchy? Why does this dude look like he might get aggressive?
Mm-hmm.
I think that comes from being in the first responding service and dealing with people like that and watching tweakers, because sometimes they're unpredictable, and like not having very much compassion for people that might be tweaking or something. Like, get away from my family, dude, or I will knock your teeth out.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't be like that. Most people don't think like that. They're just like, oh my God, that guy's weird, let's get over here.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that guy's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And I process it a little different than most people.
Yeah. Do you think that your family is pretty good at understanding, or do you think that there are misconceptions like he just doesn't want to go out, or
I think it changes from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I've kind of got the stigma of being a hermit. Like
Yeah.
Caleb used to be so fun and outgoing and wanted to do stuff all the time, and now he's just an old man.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it's like that. I don't want them to be like, I don't want them to tiptoe around me because they think I'm going through something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's a little both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think if we asked mom and dad, do you think that they would ever expect you to be where you are now?
No, Lord, no. My God, I was a royal screw up.
Yeah.
And I can't really say a screw up. I always try to do good and stuff. Like, be a good person is what I mean. Like, do good at activities. I didn't care. I like making people laugh and hanging out and raising hell.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they thought I would have took it here, which surprises me also because they taught me to take it here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think back, because, growing up, I never thought, oh, yeah, he's going to be a firefighter one day. But I can look back and see, like, mom sending you out to burn garbage and having to stand at the back door and scream at you because you play in it.
Yeah, that's an arsonist. I'm just kidding.
well, and then also, like, playing Barbies in the sandbox. Like, I would bribe you with, I can remember going through my toy box and finding Barbies that I was okay with letting you cut up and stage car accidents so that you could use the Michael Jackson doll to play superhero.
Yeah.
But if they had to pull up a chair to this table right now, what do you hope that they would say or be most proud of you for?
I would hope they would be most proud of me for the person I am and how I take care of not only people under me, but everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How I do try to protect everybody and help when I can. And dude, I know Mom wouldn't be proud of like some of my views in the world because God, we go round and round.
We're not getting into that here.
Yeah. But I just hope that's what they would be most proud of me for. Like, making it to the top's cool, but I could care less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Honest to God, I could care less. I just want to, I'm a fireman first.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why I've done a good job because I'm a fireman first.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it's like to run those 3 a.m. calls and, boom, 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 all night long and running on nothing but nicotine and caffeine. Like, sleep in, guys. I'm not going to bust your balls over that.
Yeah.
Sleep in a little bit. You ran all night.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they'd be most proud of me for that aspect, is the way I treat people and how I haven't forgot where I came from.
Yeah. I think that's something that I'm most proud of you for, is the fact that you don't walk around like some kind of big boss. And you even said before, like, when people call you chief, it makes you feel weird.
Yeah, getting
like
the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, and I love that about you, just because that's not who you are. That's never been who you are. You've always cared about people more than titles or appearances, and I love that. What's something that you think would worry mom or dad? Obviously, like the runs, and every time there's a fire, mom sends out a prayer chain text. Yeah. Central City's got a fire.
Yeah, I know. We ran like 3 fire calls in 2 days, and every time she sent out the prayer chain, and every time we get there and it's nothing, I text her. I said, "Mom, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, we trying to fight some fire over here. Like,
I'm bored.
Yeah, stop doing that." But I don't know. I think they would worry, of course, about the calls, but I think more about me not resting. And because mom tells me that, like, son, get some rest, you know, and stuff. I think that's what they would worry more about is like me personally than the calls.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they worry about.
Yeah. And growing up, mom always had like quotes and stuff. She's always been big on quotes and sayings. I can remember like in our childhood bathroom, she would tape quotes and stuff on the walls and the mirrors. Do you ever find like quotes or lessons that they taught us like come up in your daily life as an adult and like as the chief of a fire department?
Yeah.
In the way that you lead.
Yeah, every day. Every single day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reason I am where I am and I am who I am is because of those two people.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be nothing without them. And that's why I owe them everything. You know, I'll do whatever I can. If it's in my power to make their life better, I'll do it.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, a big thing mom always taught me is, like, Caleb, it doesn't matter if you're, I'll use chief. I'll say this. It doesn't matter. She said CEO. But it doesn't matter if you're CEO of a company or the janitor. If your job is to sweep that floor, you be the best floor sweeper they've ever seen in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you sweep it like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
And I apply that in my daily, in everything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's took me to where I am, you know. So that's it. And Dad's big one was, don't start nothing, but you better finish it.
Yeah.
And can't, never, could do nothing.
Yeah.
That was that. And also, be a man. Rub some dirt in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's just a different generation, man. They don't make men like that anymore.
That's the truth.
You know, I can remember him doing crazy, painful things to himself on accident and just be like, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Wouldn't even go to the doctor about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Thinking back on your life and mom saying stuff like, you know, be the best that you can be and stuff like that. You went to EMT school. I don't know that people know that about you.
Yeah.
Looking back, are you glad that turned out the way that it did?
Yeah, well, for everybody that don't know, I failed.
Well,
Yeah, no, I mean,
didn't
I'm
fail.
cool with it, yeah. I passed the EMT class. I passed all the skills. I passed everything, but I failed the National Registry 3 times. Damn OB-GYN stuff. I failed it.
You ain't never been good. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm just kidding.
But I'm glad it turned out like it is. Like, I thought then I wanted to work on an ambulance, but now I know I do not want to do that. So, I mean, and I have guys under me that are, like, amazing EMTs and paramedics and everything. Like, there's tons of, like, great medical staff on the fire department. Like, I got plenty of EMTs. I have paramedics. There's advanced EMTs. There's guys that's great at patient care and taking care of patients. And I'm glad. You know, one of the biggest quotes, another one I live by is don't let somebody's strength become your weakness, or don't let it intimidate you as a weakness, because it's not. You know, one of the best things I've ever done is find different people who's the best at different things and get them all on the same team working together. And that's why the fire department is doing so good.
Yeah.
You know, like, so no, I could care less about being an EMT, honestly.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I got people that are the best at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always think back. I think that it's really cool how it all turned out. Because, I mean, it turned out perfect. Like, everything worked itself out. So, I think it's really cool how that turned out. But from being the kid that just wanted to have a place in the first responder world to now being a chief who has a pretty established spot, do you feel that, like, things changed when you took a chief position, like when you took on that title, as far as how you're viewed by others?
Oh, yeah. Not so much like the old guys that, like, was there when I was, like, the young kid, or just the firefighter beside them, like John and Philip and Eric and people like that, you know. No, I don't feel any different with those guys. They don't treat me any different. You know, I walk in, they're like, "What's up, bitch?" you know, and I love that. You know, I love that part of the job. But a lot of the younger guys that weren't there with me through all the learning processes and not knowing how to roll a hose and stuff like that, you know, those guys, I feel like, see me as, oh, God, there's the chief, straighten up. Yeah. You know, and I don't like that part of the job. Yeah. You know, I don't like that at all, because I'm like, guys, come on, I'm one of y'all. Yeah. You know, like, I'm one of you guys. Yeah. Like, if I have to be the chief and do my job and get in some ass, then I will. But I don't want to.
Right.
We're friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is. Philip Groves told me some of the best advice, and it's actually just a couple of weeks ago. I was dealing with some stuff, and I go to Philip and I go to John a lot with advice and stuff that I just don't know how to handle. And I was telling Philip, I was like, man, it's just always something, dude. Like, I'm constantly dealing with just crap that doesn't it's minute compared to what's on my plate. Like, I don't care that whoever said your shoes looked ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to run a fire station.
Yeah.
And Philip's like, Caleb, it's lonely at the top. And that's what he told me. And I was like, wow, man. Like, and it changed my whole perspective of stuff, because it is lonely at the top. So you have to find a few good men that don't make you feel lonely.
Yeah.
That you can go to with the big problems and be like, man, I don't know what to do. Help me.
Yeah.
And they got to be guys you can trust and guys that you look up to. And I get that from those guys like Philip and John and Frank. And I get that from Eric. I get that from those people. And I can't thank God enough because I couldn't do it without them. And that's the truth. I would have quit without them.
Yeah. What's the hardest decision that you think you've ever had to make as chief that set you apart from being one of the guys?
Some of the hardest decisions is when it makes you feel like you're hurting a friend.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest ones. Because like I said a while ago, if I have to be chief, I will. But I don't. Can we just be friends? Don't do something so stupid that I have to say the friend line's severed for this moment.
Yeah.
It's time for some chewing, because I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it as much as they don't like getting it done to them. And that's probably the biggest, that's the hardest decisions, is that. And then also telling somebody when some sketchy stuff has to be done, and you tell one of your friends, they're firefighters and they're trained and they know what they're doing and they're damn good at their job. But I would rather do it. That way, if something happens, I don't have to tell your family. I don't have to tell your mama and your wife and your kids that I messed up.
Yeah.
I sent them to do that, and now they're hurt.
Yeah.
I would much rather just let me do it. If I get hurt, you don't have to tell nobody. I made the stupid call.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest decisions. Those suck.
Yeah, I could see that. But I also think that speaks volumes about you as not just a leader, but as a person, that you care. Because it's not even just about having to tell somebody's family that you messed up. It's them being in the situation, them having to pay the price for your mistake.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes, that you care. Like, you don't want anybody to have to pay a price for your own mistake. So I think that's good. What do you think people misunderstand the most about being a chief?
For one, that, like, even though you do so bad want to just be one of the guys and hang out, and, like, I don't want to grouch at you because you forgot to take the trash out or the bathroom's dirty or just the minute stuff, But if you don't address it when it's little, it'll get big, and then I have to address it big. And I don't like doing that, Like, I don't think anybody that... Because that's the problem with working with, like, within a small department, is you become best friends with these people.
Yeah.
And then, like, we're friends. Nobody wants to tell their friend, hey, tighten it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't like doing that. And that's a big misunderstood thing. And I think it's also misunderstood that he's the chief. We can't do this or do that. Yes, you can. Like, I would laugh. Like, it would be funny.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest part, is that people think, I think people just automatically think you change when you become, like, something, or you get higher up or whatever. And some people do. Some people, I've seen people, you give somebody a position of power and it goes straight to their head and they're, like, trying to do stupid stuff. Like, I've had a guy tell me, well, these people don't respect me. They don't respect me. Well, dude, I can't tell them to respect you.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't respect you, they don't. Like, you have to be worthy of earning it. I've never one time in my entire career had to say, y'all need to respect me.
Yeah.
You know, I've never had to do that. I talked to Franklin about this. And I was like, dude, what do I do? Like, how do I tell him, like, dude, they don't respect you because you're acting stupid.
You're not respectable.
You know? Like, and I mean, that sounds very harsh to say, and I don't mean it because I love him.
Right.
I love the guy. But he's like, dude, I know. And, you know, thank God for, like, Logan Franklin and Philip Groves and people like that, because those are the kind of questions I come to these guys about.
Right.
You know, like, guys, I don't know what to do. Like, he's my friend, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're like, man, you got to do what you got to do, bud.
Yeah.
You know, like, this place has to come first.
Yeah.
You know, if you, Philip sent me this thing the other day. It's like, if you weaken, I can't remember it. If you weaken the standard to accommodate complacency or something like that, then you weaken the standard or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And I'm like, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had to make tough decisions because, like, I love this kid. I had to let him go. And I still feel bad about it because I love this kid, man. I won't say his name, but he is a hell of a firefighter. He's a hell of a human. But he was young and he made a stupid mistake, and it was a huge mistake. Mm-hmm. And I had to let him go because I've set the bar for the standard high. Mm-hmm. And he dropped below that bar, and I can't have that. Mm-hmm. And I would do it to anybody, anyone. There's nobody safe from that.
Yeah. Because
there's a standard to be set that cannot fall below. And those are also the hardest decisions, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, I still love that kid. I still talk to him every day. I was talking to him right before we got on here.
Yeah.
You know, I was showing you his snap.
Yep.
But shout out to him, man. I love you, buddy.
In those moments of hard conversations where you're having to let people go that you love and that you genuinely respect, do you regret that the bar is so high, or do you feel like you're too hard on them?
That's the hardest part. Mm-hmm. What you just said, that's the hardest part, is because, yes, yeah, I feel like I'm too hard on them all the time, even for the minute stuff that I know is not too hard. You know, take the trash out, mm-hmm, clean the bathroom. You know, this is our house.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to come in and there be piss on the toilet seat. Mm-hmm. You know, like, it better be clean. And that's the hardest part, because I don't want to grouch at them for that. Like, I'll just wipe the piss up, you know, because, like I said, I'm not above sweeping the floors. I'm not above rolling the hoses. I'm not above that stuff. Some of the best advice I ever got was never stop being the rookie.
Yeah.
Never stop being the rookie. Mm-hmm. Don't ever think you're too good to help those guys hump some hose. Don't think you're ever too good to help those guys clean the hose and wipe the piss up off the seat. And I try to live by that. So the only thing that helps me get through making those decisions and chewing that ass for that stuff is to know I hold myself at that standard.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I understand everybody has bad days. Mm-hmm. I understand everybody gets stressed. And I understand this job is stressful. You know, it's hard to come back and want to wipe the piss up off the seat when you just cut down a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
That was hanging. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I understand that. So I give grace in those periods.
Yeah.
You know, because I need grace too. Mm-hmm. You know, some days I don't feel like wiping the piss up. Some days I don't want to be here. Mm-hmm. I would much rather be home kissing my baby girl.
Yeah.
Because she might hang herself one day. Mm-hmm. You know, and God, we're going to quit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. And even like the things that seem like small and like they don't matter. Like if somebody forgets to take out the trash, who's to say they're not going to forget their hood, you know, before they jump on a truck to go to a fire or something. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's a fine line.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fine line, and I've had a hard time navigating it. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I do have a hard time navigating it. You know, it's hard to say it must be this way when we're friends. Mm-hmm. You know, like, so I try to say, please do this this way, you know?
Yeah.
And because I mean, I don't like doing that either.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just, you got to. You mm-hmm. know, it's part of it.
Yeah. Would you say that's your least favorite part of being chief, is having to be the guy that gets on to people and has to set the standard?
Yeah, that's the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
The hardest part of it, being friends with people and putting life on the line with them. And, mm-hmm. you know, that's the hardest part for sure.
Yeah. I could see that. So, for listeners that don't know, not only are you a chief, you also instruct. You also mm-hmm. teach and travel and all that. What do you think your favorite part of teaching is?
Hunger.
Yeah.
hunger because I'm still hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love young firemen or old firemen that knows you can never stop training. You can never train too much for a job that can kill you.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
hungry people eat, and I want to feed them.
Yeah.
I want to eat. Teach me something. I've learned stuff from guys that's been on the job for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, man, that kind of seems dumb. What about this? And I'm like, wow, that's a great idea. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about teaching is finding those people that are hungry and being able to feed them,
Mm-hmm.
and me being hungry and being able to be fed. I that's my favorite part about instructing is just the want to know and loving the culture of this job.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever go to departments and teach and see it finally click for people? Like, oh my God, I love this. It clicked for you.
Yeah, all the time. I was teaching a ropes class. I don't know, maybe it was last week or this. It might have been this week. I don't know. I teach quite a bit, but I was teaching a ropes class, and there was these firefighters there, and they could not figure out how to get these knots tied. So I actually get right next to them, and I'm like, put your hands on my hands.
Aww.
And we're going through it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, now you do it. And they did it, and they were just astounded because they'd been working on a boat line for 15 minutes and couldn't figure it out. But once I actually, because I was just showing them, I was like, okay, this is how you do it. And then when I grabbed their hands and I was like, let's do it like this,
mm-hmm.
it clicked for them. And I love that when I see that fire ignite in somebody.
Yeah.
Because I still get that. Philip Groves will give a class. Sometimes I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, things like that.
Yeah. So on the opposite end of that, do you ever go in and teach and find people that's like, I don't know if they're cut out for this?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And it's not so much as they're not cut out for this. It's so much as you don't have the want to for this.
Yeah.
This is a job where you never stop being the student.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm teaching, I'm still a student.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like I said, I'm teaching somebody something and they're like, well, could I do it like this? And I'm like, that's so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can't do it like that because of this. You can never stop being the student, and you go to these places sometimes and you get these guys that's been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years. Bubby Anderson's been doing it for 150 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, and I'm not saying Bubby's not like that. Bubby's hungry. He wants to get in there and help.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to some of these places and they're just like, nah, I've tied knots. I know what a ladder does. I know what this does. Man, I know, but it's making a lot of it better on both of us if you just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you get both ends of the spectrum there.
Mm-hmm. When you go into volunteer departments to teach, do you ever notice a lack of training?
Yeah, a whole lot. And it's not necessarily, I can say, the lack of training. It's just standards have become so high.
Mm-hmm.
Used to become an instructor. There's guys I'll use Eric McElvain and Jason Robertson,
Mm-hmm.
for example. Those guys are very, very intelligent in the fire game.
Yeah.
Those guys can read a fire good. They know how to do all this stuff. But because it takes so much to become an instructor now, they're not instructors. So they can teach, but it doesn't count. And these guys have to get an instructor to sign off on these training hours for these guys to be counted and be able to do the things that this job requires. Because without your basic 20 hours you have to have before you can even get on a truck to make a call. And Eric McElvain and Jason Robertson, people like that, they'll give somebody 150 hours in their first month,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't count.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
used to become an instructor, it was you take a 40-hour class and boom, you're an instructor.
Mm-hmm.
They teach you how to teach. Now you have to have all your IFSACs, and you have to go to instructor course. You have to take the 40-hour course, then you have to take an IFSAC test on that, and you have to do skills to be evaluated to make sure you know what you're doing to get that instructor seal so you can sign off on a roster and say, okay, now this counts. You could be a crappy instructor just really good at taking tests.
Yeah.
And if you can pass the instructor course and pass the test, I might not be able to teach you anything. I might be terrible, but my name means something at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a lot of the lack of training. It's not necessarily the lack of training. It's just these guys, people, they might get tired of it. Like, man, I don't want to do a class because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big part of the lack of instruction now.
Yeah, it almost sounds more like lack of credentials or resources.
That's what it is. Yeah,
training.
that's honestly that's the truth. And the old guys that were instructors, like people like Steve Grace, Tommy Dickerson, people like that, they were able to get their instructor. And I'm not talking bad about those guys. They had the knowledge. They were very good instructors, but they were able to get it when it was you go take a class for one weekend and you're an instructor for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But now all those guys are leaving. They're out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're retiring. They're getting finished. So what's left? Only the people that are actually having to do all the extra stuff. And a lot of people don't want to do it, especially if you're a volunteer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, I got a job. I can't spend all weekend 2 hours away to do this class for 2 weekends. Like, I have a family. I have a job. I have this. Luckily for me, it is my job.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And because you're in volunteer fire department so much, and we've even talked about it before, just about the fact that the volunteer fire service is kind of a dying breed.
Mm-hmm.
It won't, we've even said, volunteer fire service won't be around in 10 years.
Oh, yeah. It's got 10, 15 years max.
Yeah. Do you think it could be saved? And if so, do you have like ideas or an idea on how to?
I'm not for sure. I hope to God it can be saved.
Yeah. Right.
But we live in such a instant gratification world, and what can you do for me if I'm giving you all this time? What can you do for me kind of world that I don't know if it can be saved. I hope to God it can. If anybody listening to this has any ideas, give me a holler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm looking for it, So I hope to God it can be saved, but I see it rapidly declining.
Yeah. I'll have to start a TikTok trend.
Yeah. Save the volunteers.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah. You've said your whole life, or I guess your whole adult life, that you'll always be a firefighter. And even in past episodes, you've said things like, if Central City fired you today, you'd be knocking on fire department doors tomorrow. But the reality of the situation is that everybody's going to retire one day. We're all going to be old. We're not, everybody's going to make a last run. Everybody can't be Bubby Anderson making calls.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
So knowing that you've given your whole life or your whole adult life to the fire service, and just knowing the doors that it's open for you, but also the price that you've had to pay to get where you are, and the things that you've seen just doing, the everyday job, would you say that you hope your children grow up to be in the service?
I hope not.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is because I want them to be better than I am. I want them to do better things than I've done. And it's a hard life. Like it is. Don't get me wrong. It's the best job in the world. I will not talk bad about this job one bit. If she does grow up and decide to be a fireman, a paramedic, whatever she decides, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the greatest job in the freaking world. But it goes to the cost. You look at your kid and you're like, oh, they're so innocent and perfect and sweet. Like, I don't want you to corrupted. I don't want you to see the world like I see it.
Yeah.
And so I hope not. I hope she does better things. I hope to God she's a billionaire accountant and then takes care of daddy.
No kidding. And auntie.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, she likes pink too much. I don't think we have anything to worry about with,
yeah.
with that. But I just have a few more questions and then we'll wrap up. What's something that you wish every 911 caller understood?
We're coming. Like, we're coming. And show us some grace.
Yeah.
I know to you, it's the biggest emergency of your life. And we understand that, and we're coming to help. But show us some grace. When we get there and Grandma's fell and broke her hip, and we're trying to straighten her legs out to see if they're shortening, or trying to figure out what's going on, and she's screaming in pain. Like, we're not intentionally hurting her. Like, don't call us a dumbass. Don't talk shit to us. Like, we're trying to help her. And a lot of people don't understand is, like, most of these guys that's coming into your house and you're handing them your baby that's choking or in distress, these guys are young. Like, I'm talking, they're 18, 25, 30 years old. You know what I mean? And you're talking smack to them.
Yeah.
And they're there to help. Don't get me wrong. Just because they're young doesn't mean they're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These guys are good at their job. We train daily to be good at this job.
Right.
Because people's life depend on it. But show them some grace.
Yeah.
You know, don't talk shit. Don't get on Facebook running your mouth that fire department showed up and didn't do nothing. The whole house burnt down. Dude, these guys are kids, man.
Yeah.
And, yeah, your house burnt down, but you didn't see that all day long they've been running cars. They've cut 3 people out of cars. They've had 2 dead babies. They've cut down a girl that was hanging. And now they're here listening to you bitch at them because your dog bit your hand and you have a cut finger.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'll bite it off and spit it in your face.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't mess with my guys.
Yeah.
Like, because I'll hurt your feelings and I'll hurt them bad.
Yeah.
And then you can call and complain on me and I'll say, sorry, fellas.
Yeah. Just piggybacking off of that, what's something that you think other people wouldn't understand about brotherhood? Just like that. Like, don't mess with my guys. Like, that's a touchy subject. And I feel like even, I mean, you can take it. Like, you know, if you want to scream at you, okay, that's fine. You might scream back, but whatever. But like you said, like, don't mess with my guys. That's a line. I mean, just what's something about brotherhood that you wouldn't understand unless you've lived it?
Just the part, I'll use the flashover fire for an example. Is like, John went back into a deadly situation because he thought I was in distress.
Yeah.
Right? You don't find that everywhere. You know, I live with these guys. I see these guys cry.
Yeah.
You know, because they just held that dead baby. They just cut down that girl. They just cut somebody's grandma, or told somebody their son's not going to make it, and the mom's screaming on the porch on her face, and they're dealing with this. And then you want to grouch at them because we didn't get here fast enough? Like, dude, our response time was 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like, I could have flew and not been here faster.
Right.
You know, so you're going to show them some grace, or I'm going to show you a hard time.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that comes back to the part of never stop being the rookie, never stop being the fireman.
Yeah.
You know, because I've been that guy that been getting the piss beat out of him while I'm trying to help somebody, been told I'm not fast enough or I'm stupid or whatever. Like, I will hurt you bad.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to talk to him like that. I might talk to him like that. That's my boy.
Yeah.
You know, I might talk to him like that, but I guarantee I'll burn my face off to try to drag him out.
Yeah.
You know, you ain't going to say a cross word to him.
And do you feel that same security, like, back? Like, if somebody's...
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. And this will be my final question. If this was the only time you ever had to tell your story, what would you want people to take away from it?
Give me some grace. You know, I mess up a lot, like a whole lot, but I'm trying. My biggest goal is to make the fire service better, you know, and to be at the top of the game. Like, I hold myself to a high standard because I want to be the best. I get up and go to the gym every morning because I want to be the best. I do not want to be outworked. I don't want anybody better than I am. And there are people better than me, and I understand that. That's not being arrogant. But I want to be the best that I can possibly be. So show me some grace. If I make a bad decision, if I have to get on to you, if I say something that's incorrect, you know, show me some grace, man. I'm trying.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do the same. I'll try to show you some grace because you're trying. And also, I want people to know I hold you to a standard because I want you to be the best. I want you to be the best that you can be. I want Central City to be the best it can be. I want people to look at... I heard Steve Grace say one time, there's 2 kinds of EMTs. There's an, oh God, EMT. And then there's an, oh God, there's an EMT. And that's what kind of fireman, that's what kind of department I want Central City to be. You know, one, you show up and they're like, oh God, Central City's here. Or, oh God, Central City's here.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord.
Right.
You know, that's what I want Central City to be. And I expect nothing less than, oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't hold to that standard, we don't have a spot.
Yeah.
You know, and that might sound blunt and brutal, but I mean it.
I mean, when the stakes are as high as they are for jobs like firefighting, the bar has to be high. You know, the boundary has to be
And
high.
and the hardest part is too, I know that people can do it. You
Yeah.
know, I know that you can do it. You got to want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And I know that I'm biased, but I think you're doing a great job. I think that
Well, I appreciate that.
everybody, I mean, obviously not everybody in the city, but most people in the city that know you now know that you're doing a great job with the department. So, and all of your guys, like, I feel like rapport is really good. I feel like in the past, I hope this doesn't get us canceled, but in the past, I feel like Central City's had a bad rep. Like, their guys are douchebags. They're arrogant. I remember I worked with a girl once, and this was back years ago, but she complained because she was driving, and I understand the firefighter's point of view, but she was driving, he was running in his own personal vehicle, lights and sirens, she didn't pull over, and he was like flipping her off out the window and like screaming at her.
Yeah.
And she talked about that and ran Central City in the ground for months.
Yeah, it was on Facebook. I remember that.
Yeah. And I don't feel like I see any of that anymore. The biggest complaint is not letting people hang out in the fire department. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the guys are really good. I feel like just being around them, like the rapport at the department is really good. It feels like when you walk in, it feels like somebody's house. It doesn't just feel like a bunch of guys showing up to get a paycheck.
Yeah, and I appreciate you giving me all that credit. I do, but it's not me. It's Philip Groves, and I'll use him again. And John Gore gave me a piece of advice I try to live by. If you have to make a decision, if it's good for your guys, it's a great decision.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not good for your guys, it's probably not a good decision. If it's good for you, it's probably not a good decision. If it doesn't benefit your guys as a whole, it's not a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to live by that too, you know. And so all the credit you just gave me, I'll push it right back on those guys.
Yeah.
You know, like they are top freaking tier. Like, I couldn't do it without Logan Franklin.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it without Philip. I couldn't do it without John. I couldn't do it without Colton and Logan and Aaron and Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll give Blaze a shout out. Man, he came in as a nothing. You know, we were kayaking on the Green River for 10 miles, sunburnt as hell, hurting.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a job. And it was Zach Sawyer was with us, and Zach was the chief at that point. And we had a spot open. And Central City had never sent anybody to the fire academy. Blaze was the first one. And Zach's like, you want a job, Blaze? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, you got your CPAC card? And that's the physical agility test you have to take to become a professional firefighter. And Blaze is like, no, man, but I'll go get it. And he's like, well, let me make some phone calls, see if we can send you to the fire academy. Because if we can't hire you.
Yeah.
And Blaze is like, all right. 15 minutes later, or maybe it's the next day or whatever, Zach calls him up, and he's like, hey, man, if you can get that CPAC card, I'll hire you, and you'll go to the fire academy. You'll be gone 13 weeks. You'll come out certified firefighter. We'll put you right on the rig. He's like, bet. Mm-hmm. He calls me. He's like, hey, dude, I need to get that CPAC card. Where do I sign up for it? I was like, go here, pay $200, however much it was. I don't know. It might not have been that much. I was like, pay the money. I'll drive you up there, and we'll go do it. Just tell me when the date is. He called me. He's like, it's tomorrow.
Wow.
I was like, all right, let's go do it. And honest to God, I figured he would pass it because Blaze goes to the gym. You know, he's a fit guy.
Yeah.
And next day, me and him was driving. He's like, dude, I'm nervous. I was like, you got this. Go in here. The trick to the CPAT, don't stop. Puke, pass out, die when it's done. But you don't quit when they start that timer. He comes out like an hour later, and I was like, did you get it? He's like, hell no. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, man. He was like, just kidding, mother. You know, like, yeah. And he got it. And he was on the rig in the next week.
Wow.
He went to the fire academy, and he's great, man. He's hungry.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, hungry people freaking eat.
Yeah.
And I like hungry folk.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I did give you a lot of credit, but all of those guys are great guys. You know, that's just who they are. It's not, that's not something that you can do. But
yeah, it goes back to find different people who are the best at different things and get them all on the same team. And
yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to make some good decisions, be influenced by good people that are like, hey, man, that's a good one. You don't let him pass by. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna grab him.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been super fortunate to have great mentors. I would be nothing without the guys that came before me and actually took time and wasn't like, get away from me,
Yeah.
rookie, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to be. I want to be one of those guys that somebody can say about me one day, he was good, you know. So that's a big thing I want people to know, you know, is that I see you.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be there with you.
That reminds me of that shirt you used to have, something about I'm no hero, but I've walked beside a few.
Oh God, yeah. Lord have mercy. Cannot believe you brought that shirt up. Yeah, that's the old Hefty shirt.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
But for real, I mean, that's cool. But anyway, do you have anything else that you want to add or say?
Only thing I'm gonna say is we are selling T-shirts right now. Breast cancer awareness T-shirts. They're super cool. If you listen, please go to Central City's Facebook page, follow the link, order a shirt. It supports Philip Groves, the guy I've been talking about this entire thing. Such a great person, great man, great firefighter, just all around great human. And his wife, who's battling breast cancer, Kristen. She's an amazing person. They're great people, and all of these proceeds are going to go to help this family. So help us out, man. And that's really all I got to add. And another shout out to just all the people that came before me. It's been really weird being on this side of the mic, but I love, if one thing's remembered, I love the fire service. I love the guys. I love everything about it.
Yeah. And I think that shows in your whole life. But all right, that's all I've got. So if you're good, I'm good.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, all right, we'll end it there. Thanks for letting me hijack your podcast.
To kids, summer isn't just time off. It's time spent building confidence and curiosity. But when school meals pause, millions of kids lose access to the food they count on during the school year. As a neighbor-led network, Feeding America is deeply rooted in every community, ensuring summer meals continue nourishing growth and potential. Your support puts healthy food within reach, fueling the future for kids and their families. Give now at feedingamerica.org/summerhunger.